Hi guys, Jessica here. So this is long awaited. I haven't watched Pretty Little Liars today, which is Wednesday and yesterday. So this is through Monday. This is going to be about the first half of the second season. So episodes 1 through 12. So get your beverage. I have some vaporized distilled water. And this is probably going to take me a little bit. So let me take a drink and I'll get started. Okay, so episode 1, Garrett tells the girls, he tells them to lie in the first episode, and we see Jenna listening to him as he tells these girls this, and they start going to therapy in this season. They're wondering, the whole theme really is like, they're wondering how Jason plays into this. Is he dangerous? Did he kill Allie because he doesn't remember things from the night when she died? Arya and Ezra are like shaky in this season. We're introduced to Dr. Ann Sullivan, the therapist. We also find out later, I think, one of our questions is who is her son, right? Which is funny is that when I was writing that down, then they flashed to Caleb and Lucas. And I'm just starting to think even more that it was Lucas. We see Mona and Noel are now a couple, which I think is how Mona really got into the A-team, to be honest. A was in Ezra's house because they had a picture. And when they're looking at this picture, they talk about the typewriter, okay? And once again, like I said, yes, Ezra has that typewriter in his house, but we also saw one at Jenna's house, and I'm not talking about the one she uses, the Braille, like, little communicator. They literally had an old typewriter in Jenna's room in season 1. That was one of the clues that I had. And remember that the girls get a lot of typewritten A messages, so that's why I mentioned that. We see Ezra Fitz's college diploma at Dr. Sullivan, so we know that A was in Ezra's, took it and put it there. It's kind of, that's very suspicious of Ezra right there. Dr. Sullivan's being followed, and our question is Ian alive? Episode 2 is when Mona says to Arya, hey, big A, that clue that everyone talks about. They get an A message, and then they flash right to Arya. Jason asks about the bell tower incident. He's very curious about it, which makes me think the way that he asked, at least the way they made it acted out, I don't think Jason was the one that pushed Ian. They show a flashback to Ellie, and she says, when I hide something, it remains hidden. And I think, I don't think that when I first watched this that I paid attention much to the back, the flashbacks as much as I should. I think there's a lot of clues in it that maybe I should have realized that Allie was alive. Sorry, my list here are do you see this? I have 4 pages back and front, okay? So if I'm kind of stopping for a bit, I'm trying to digest it, and I'm trying to articulate it out to you so that it makes sense, has a clue, or something that I think you should know. That's the things that I write. In this episode, A is at Spencer's and pushes Arya. Well, we think it's A. We come to find out that it's actually Mike Montgomery, and he's going through that series of house burglaries, but a part of me thought that he was friends, because he was friends with Noel, that he was pulled on to be on the A-team, and the things of him stealing things was before the A-team. I'm still kind of convinced that might be the case, because Arya is a part of it. If Arya was a part of it, of course our brother would be too, right? So, I don't know. Also, we see Melissa's clothes, and Melissa has a red trench coat, the exact same red coat, has the raincoat, that red with the belted trench coat. Melissa has the same one. I noticed this when I was watching. I've been very observant while I'm watching these episodes, and I was like, holy crap, maybe Melissa's wearing that mask and wig, and she's one of the redcoats. I don't know. So maybe she was at some point before Cece was around. Episode 3, someone's living with Jason. We don't know. We think it's Ian. Jason becomes a suspect to the girls. Jenna cries about not being able to see when she's in that art class with Arya, and then she finds out it's Arya, and she leaves the class, and that's very suspicious to me. If you don't like someone, fine, but for her to leave that class entirely is strange to me. Melissa acts very suspicious, and we find out that Ren is providing her some medical materials, so we know that Ian's actually still alive at this point. Episode 4, Ren and Spencer are in this a lot, and I don't know, just the way he's acting, I feel like he's a part of this. We see Mike is very secretive, and he can be very dark, which is starting to show like that mental history they have in their family. Ren's very suspicious of Ian's death. That's what he says to Spencer. And A breaks into the office of Dr. Sullivan and writes "nosy bitches die." And once again, people use this as a clue. The EY, nosy, is a British way of saying it. Episode 5, Mike breaks in the house, and we wonder, is he on the A-team? We find out that a woman, or supposedly hired that Logan Reed character to meet the girls with the $10,000, the finale of season 1, I mean. And he said a woman. A told him to say a woman. I think it's pretty obvious it's a man. We find out that Garrett paid him to say that it was a woman. Or maybe it actually was Jenna. Byron acts very shady in this episode. We also see Mike in a black hoodie, I noticed. And we see the rest of the video that Allie was still alive during that initial season 1 video that we see all the time. I know you want to kiss me. And then it wasn't Ian, most likely that killed her, because he was still alive, and you see it at the end of the video. A wanted them to see that, obviously, Ian wasn't the one, I just killed him. Episode 6, Spencer's dad and Jessica De Laurentiis are going at it. We later find out that Jessica asked, I believe, Jason to be taken off the will, or Allie. I can't remember exactly, I should have wrote that down more, but she wanted him to illegally tamper with a will. The girls have lunch with Mrs. De Laurentiis, and she gives them... She slips up during the lunch and says something about both of my kids do, and then she goes, did? And it makes me think the way that she was talking that she still had 2 kids, which would go on with that twin theory. And I thought of it instantly, and when I first watched it, I remember I watched season 1 and 2 on DVD. I didn't watch it when I was on TV. I didn't get into it till the 3rd season. That way, at least. I don't like to wait a week. That's my problem. I never recognized that, but now that I'm rewatching and studying is what I feel like I'm doing when I do this. I thought maybe this is their way to how the twin thing started. We see Spencer and Mona. The showdown begins, which we know continues for a while. Ace switched the presentation. It's no surprise because Mona's in charge of the fashion show and Noel is the DJ, so they're obviously one of them is on the A-team. The bitch is dead, it says, which is funny because it says evil bitch monster, and then it cuts right to Arya, right after they show Arya's reaction. And what I notice a lot of the time is they show Arya's reaction to most things like that. She's the one, I don't know if it's because she acts it out the best, or, she's the one that does the shh and everything, and it makes me just very suspicious. Like, literally watch when something crazy happens, the camera switches right to Arya, and you see her, almost overacting, and I don't know, I'm just getting suspicious of it now. It wouldn't be something you would notice if you watched it each week. It's something when you watch a series of episodes in a row and you start recognizing things like that. Maybe coincidental, maybe not. We see Noel wearing a black jacket with a black hood on it. I just noticed that A is buying women's shoes, riding boots, which way later in this season we have a riding incident with Hannah. Then we see that A is at Dr. Sullivan's because you walk in, the camera comes into the door, they show the coat rack, and there's a black hoodie hanging there. So that's episode 6. Okay, episode 7, halfway through. almost 10 minutes. Oh my god. Mike has a mirror. Okay, notice, you remember how when they were doing stuff about the A-Team and Arya, they said that we always see Arya looking into mirrors? Well, in Mike's room, he has a car mirror, like on his desk, so he can see behind him. I didn't know if that was a connection at all, but I've been noticing that Mike is seen looking into mirrors often too. Ezra... goes to the Montgomerys and said he bought the scotch that he knows that his dad likes. Once again, that A scotch reference, okay? And a part of me is like, is Byron A? Because we always see A drinking scotch, and just that the way that he said that by saying that he bought the scotch that he knows that her father likes. First of all, how do you know what scotch her father likes? Very sketchy. Caleb is in a hoodie in this episode. I just wrote stuff like that down because like I said before, I was very suspicious of Caleb. I thought that he maybe, not knowing, did participate in A-Team behavior in the first season with the phones issue. Maybe someone on the A-Team actually hired him to tamper with a phone or phones, and I think he might have participated without knowing it. We see Mr. Hazing burning that field hockey stick. And then during the A scene at the end, we hear very like jazz music and such. I've been making notes of those scenes. Episode 8, Ren brings that plant or flower to Melissa, and he starts working in Rosewood. So this is when Ren really comes into the whole scheme of things, really full time. We see Arya goes down to the basement with Spencer. A is taking us down one at a time. Arya's probably next, someone says. That was a nice little reference because we were realizing that Arya, yes, she does, her mom found out with the affair. Big deal. Honestly, big deal. How did that hurt Arya? Not really directly. And it's pretty obvious that the girls are noticing that Arya, it really isn't affected as much as them, and honestly, I would be a little more skeptical of that. Episode 9, we see Mike's depression. We start talking about Byron's brother who had a mental illness, and that's how that comes in. Jason had camera equipment, and the girls are starting to think that maybe he took the videos. They come to find out that actually Allison took pictures of them. Episode 10, they're boxing up Ian's things, and it looked like there was a black hoodie in that box, okay? I guess a lot of people are like, Jess, like, doesn't everyone have like a black hooded sweatshirt? Or I mean, I don't know. In this show, it's significant, so that's why I keep mentioning it to you. We learn about the NAT Club, which we discover means we see all. Jason, Garrett, Ian, all a part of it. And the Emily massage, we're an A-Team member. Later on, we discover, Lucas was actually the person that did that. So as I'm watching this, knowing that Lucas is a part of it now, I'm very, very suspicious of him. And I think that he might have been the one sending the message to Hannah to dance with him and such, because he didn't want her to be with Sean, and that was a way for them to break up. So him acting like, oh, you hurt me, and da-da-da, I think is very fake, to be honest. Hannah, Mona ride. They go riding on a horse, and then remember that I mentioned about the riding boots that A bought several months ago, or several episodes ago, which means how is A really, like, how does A know this? Obviously, Mona was buying those riding boots, or participated in, I don't know, it's just strange. Jenna threatens the girls. We see Arya with the doll, and also we remember that Allie loves dolls. Episode 11. They tell Dr. Sullivan about A. Allie's grandma, we find out Allie went to her grandmother's to change that will. When she came back, she died that night. And the doctor knows who A is after doing some research and finding the connections, calls the girls in, and disappears. Episode 12, we see the girls received dolls, okay? Now, I just mentioned dolls with Arya, and I've mentioned other things about dolls, and she holds dolls and just, like, looks at them, and it's just really creepy sometimes, I notice. The dolls are sent each with a name-plated necklace to represent each of the girls, and they talk, and you pull the string, and it was to what they had to do in order to save Dr. Sullivan so that A wouldn't kill her. So Arya had to confront Jackie about the plagiarized article she wrote. Hannah had to stop her father's wedding. Spencer had to keep Toby safe, and Emily didn't have one. But later on, when she was in her car, the doll was sitting in her back seat, and it said that they were going to tell her to go alone to where Dr. Sullivan was. Part of me started to think that Maya was a part of it. So Arya tells Jackie about her plagiarized thing, and then pretty much blackmails her and says, okay, well, I know you've been dating your teacher, so, too bad. Then all of a sudden, after that happens, Ezra calls. And I thought it was very sketch. How fast would he know that would happen? And then Emily goes to Dr. Sullivan's, okay? So, this show is making me nuts. Okay, while I've been studying it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, I'm enjoying watching them, but I'm studying it. When I see pans of things in rooms, I'm looking for items that we know have been typewriters and clothing and dolls and different things, like listening to music and paying attention to the way people look and their eyes, because the eye thing. And I am becoming a Pretty Little Liar expert after rewatching this. I'm telling you. I could tell you what episode this and that happened. So, I'm going to continue watching maybe a little bit more today. I took a couple day break. But I think I have less than 2 weeks left, and I have a season and a half. I think I could do it. So, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. And 13 days is when it starts, okay? And I have 13 episodes left of season 2, and then 25, so I have 28. So literally, I need to watch like a couple a day, and I can make it through. So I think I'm actually going to meet my goal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe they got things stirring in you. Maybe some of the things I said connected with some of your thoughts and your theories, and I would love to hear about them. So definitely comment below for me, and I hope you guys are enjoying this, because I'm definitely doing this for you. So, I'll talk to you later. Bye.